Do you ever wonder what your true self actually wants when you're making a big decision, or how to get down to the core of what's really most aligned for you right now? This can be really common, especially for women. We are taught, all of us, are to doubt ourselves and to second guess everything that we do. And especially if we have any kind of past trauma, or we're made to feel small at certain points in our life, we might not trust our intuition or really even know what our intuition is saying in situations. So if this is you, we're going to talk about it today. I'm Emma Coble. I'm a licensed professional counselor in Colorado and in Florida. So, so have you ever been in that situation, like you're trying to make a big decision, maybe whether to end a relationship, whether to move, whether to change jobs, and you feel like you just cannot figure out what to do. Maybe you have made all the to-do lists, you have chatted with all your friends ad nauseum over and over about what to do, and you just truly cannot figure out what your inner voice and inner guidance is telling you. I remember this happened for me many years back in 2014 or 2015 when I was debating, I believe it was 2014, when I was debating accepting a really great job offer that came my way or starting my own private practice. And it was a job I had been wanting for a really long time, and I could not figure out what my inner voice was telling me for a long time. And I talked it through, and I made all the lists, and I would go back and forth, and I couldn't figure it out rationally, so I get how hard this is. It's really common as well. So part of the reasons this is so hard to figure out are, social pressure and the social messages we get about what we should do, what is the right course of action, what being stable or responsible, or even just like brave or competent, like what it looks like to do those things, and the stories we have around those things. Also old roles. So maybe we're considering making a decision that requires us to deviate from an old role we have had, maybe a role of a caretaker or someone who is constantly loyal despite everything. Those can be things that it can be really hard to break away from, because it also makes us question our identity a little bit. Like, who are we if we're not in this old role? Another thing is trauma responses. So like I said before, trauma makes us learn to doubt ourselves, and maybe in the past we have had the experience of doing something wrong and it leading to like rejection or not being accepted in some way, or some shame or chaos. Another thing is overthinking. So oftentimes the more we think about something, the more we're actually outside of our bodies and not experiencing what's going on in our bodies. The more we're trying to figure something out. And the thinking part is trying to protect us and trying to help us get to an answer, but it actually kind of removes us farther away from what's really inside of us. So one thing I would say about understanding fear and the role fear might also play into this. Fear, just to be able to identify it, when making a decision from fear often feels urgent. It feels like, okay, I've got to do this thing. It's panicky. And when you are making a decision from that place, you might feel this like, tension in your chest. But oftentimes, like, the inner voice feels calm. It feels spacious. It feels like, oh yeah, that makes sense. There's a recognition there. And again, it might take a little while to be at a place where you can feel this, and some work to be at a place where you can feel this. Fear also might tell you that if you choose wrong, everything's going to fall apart, which, again, this might be a protective strategy, and this might have happened to you in the past, feeling like you chose something wrong and everything fell apart. Reassure this part that, like, we're going to move slowly. We are going to get in touch with what's right for us. We're going to make this decision from our true self, and we've got this, whatever happens. Like, even if it's a decision that we decide to, change in the future, we will be okay. Fear also might make you feel kind of like smaller. It might make you feel like your sense of yourself feels constricted, whereas your true self feels more curious, more open, more compassionate, and grounded. Okay, so internal family systems therapy and parts work can help you identify the parts that are driving the confusion. So if there is a perfectionistic part that is afraid of you messing up, if there's a shame part that's telling you you can't get this wrong, you can't make the wrong decision, we're going to understand those and help them feel safe enough to kind of give a little bit of space so we can get down to the other parts that are here. There might be a wounded younger part that's here that thinks that it needs to stay small in order to be safe. Maybe there's a part that wants to make sure everyone else is okay that's here. Again, the overanalyzer part might be here, the overthinking part. So the next thing we would do is understanding what each of these parts is trying to protect and what it's really afraid of, what it's really wanting for you, and why it's sort of in that role when that started for this part. And approach it with curiosity and compassion rather than trying to just get it to go away so you can just get to the answer, which is not, it never works. Okay, and then we're trying to eventually like access your true self that is beneath all that noise, like access what your true self really wants, which might take a little time, and it might take a lot of just compassion and nurturing with these other protective parts. EMDR can really assist with this in terms of like understanding when and how these parts started and like helping heal some of the trauma that's beneath these parts holding on so strongly. Okay, so how do we quiet the noise and actually understand our true selves? So the first thing you can just do is like ask which part is speaking, which part is really loud right now. Don't try to go with what should I do, or but go with like who's scared, like what's the loudest right now, what are they needing. Then I would like with that part I would slow down and do some work around again what it's scared of, letting it know you accept it, letting it know you see it, that its fear makes sense. Maybe understanding where it's coming from with kindness, and then if there's another part that comes up in response to that, doing the same thing with that part. So this is going to be a process, and it's not going to lead you immediately to the answer. Next, I would, like once those parts feel calmer, and not before that, notice what your body does when you're imagining each of the choices in front of you. Is there softening or expansion or a sense of peace, or is there more contraction when you think about one versus the other? Pay attention to that. Visualize your older, wiser self and what she would say or want for you right now in this process. Imagining her being very compassionate and loving. And then give yourself permission to sit with these options and to choose what it is you actually want. So remember that alignment might not feel like this euphoric thing. It might just feel kind of calm in your body. Remember also there's no perfect choice, and you might not know you're making the right choice. We're just doing the best we can with the information we have. If you're still struggling with this and you feel like you just cannot hear your internal voice, maybe give it a little bit of time and come to therapy. Like seek out a therapist who can help you with this. If you do live in Colorado or Florida and you want, I offer free 15-minute consultations, and I hope you have a great day.